Our next speaker started his entrepreneurial journey at a very young age, when tough circumstances led him to sell toys. Since then, he has come a long way and is today one of India's top motivational speaker, best-selling author, and founder of Happionaire Way. Please welcome Mr. Yogesh Chabria on stage as he tells you about the Happionaire Way.
Thank you so much, Sheetal. I think give a big hand to everybody from the E-Cell. All of you are already entrepreneurs because you're enterprising. It was wonderfully done. Give a big hand to yourself. A really big hand. Okay. We heard a lot of interesting stories. I think all of them were inspiring. What I'll share is much simpler. How many of us have fear within us? Does anybody have fear within us? Okay. I'll share a small story. When I was a small boy, my mother shared a story with me which still stays with me. It was a story of Lord Krishna. So back in the days, Lord Krishna and what was his brother's name? Balram, yes. So Krishna and Balram were going through the jungles, and in those days, there were no good hotels. So now we have good hotels. You've put us up in a nice hotel. So in those days, there were no hotels. So in the night, they had to sleep in the jungle. They had to sleep in the jungle. So while they had to sleep in the jungle, what did they do? They said, let's take turns. So first, Krishna would be sleeping, and Balram would be keeping a watch. What would he be watching for? Robbers, thieves, all sorts of things. So when Krishna was sleeping, Balram was awake. And when he was awake, he sees a monster coming. And as soon as he sees the monster coming, what happens to him? He starts feeling afraid. He feels fearful. He feels afraid. And the more fearful he feels, the bigger the monster becomes. So he's afraid the monster keeps growing in height and size, till the monster is so big that Balram, out of panic, collapses. So he just faints. Krishna opens his eyes. He sees his brother. He doesn't know. He thinks probably Balram is sleeping. And Krishna looks at this huge monster. And Krishna very calmly says, looks at the monster in the eye, and very calmly says, what is it that you want? And the monster immediately reduces in size. Krishna again, with a calm face, a composed voice, asked the monster, how can I help you? And the monster again becomes smaller in size. Krishna keeps asking him question after question. Where have you come from? What do you want? How can I be of help? Till the monster becomes so small, he becomes like a small, he holds him in his hand. He becomes like a pocket-sized monster, like a Pokemon. And he puts him in his pocket. And then Balram wakes up and he's all panicky. He says, Krishna, Krishna, there was a huge monster. Where is the monster? And Krishna shows him. He says, is this the small Pokemon you were talking about? And what does this story teach us? Does it teach us something? It teaches me a lot. It teaches us a lot. It teaches us that when we look at our fears in the eye, look at our fears in the eye and question them. And when you question them, the fears will not be that big. All these fears we have, are they real or are they only in our head? They are only in our head. They're not that big. They're not, those monsters we talk about, they're not that big. So you want to start a business, you want to do anything, the first thing you need to do is crush that fear. And how do you crush that fear? Look it in the eye. Look at the fear in the eye. Now, all of you want to start a business, or you have already started a business. That's what I understand. Is that so? Okay, excellent, excellent. What is one skill every business person needs? What is one skill you think every business person needs on the planet? Who said sales? Excellent. Give him a big hand. I think that's a very important skill, and there's an acronym which I like to use for sales. It works beautifully. It stands for smile and love everyone sincerely. Sales, smile and love everyone sincerely. Because if you smile and you love everyone from the bottom of your heart, you will do deals, you will crack deals, you will sell. My story of selling is very interesting. Since you mentioned sales, I'll share it. So as a kid, I grew up in Bombay. My grandparents were refugees. And growing up, I couldn't afford the auto, I couldn't afford the bus. Very humble beginnings. And in those days, my parents, this was pre-liberalization India, my parents used to travel and to Dubai or Singapore and get all sorts of products which we could sell here for a profit. So in those days, you could get a TV and sell here. You could get Yardley and sell here, all sorts of products. And in those days, I was 5 years old. They used to get me toys. Any kid likes toys. So they would get me toys, and I would play with these toys. So they would be these nice remote-controlled cars with a wire. They were not wireless, they were with a wire. I would play with these toys, and then after 5 days, 6 days, once I'd had enough of them, I would go to all my friends, smile and love everyone sincerely, and should tell them, I have this wonderful car, beautiful car, and I've test driven it. I've test driven this car, and buy it from me. And they would buy it from me, and I would sell it like 6-7 times the price. Those cars are not available anywhere. That's how I started selling, and I think it's a beautiful thing to do. Selling also is a very nice art. It's like swimming. How many of you here swim? Okay. Would you learn swimming by listening to people like me speaking about swimming, reading books, or would you learn by just jumping into the pool? I think all of you have a beautiful beach here. Today morning at around 6:30, I went to the beach. I had a wonderful swim, and it's good I had not met some of your people from the ESL because they started scaring me. They said, don't go and swim in the sea because there's apparently a major drop and there are dangerous rocks and you can just be dead. But I'm happy I didn't hear them because I enjoyed the swim. If I'd heard any of these people, I wouldn't have gone. So it's like swimming. Sales is like swimming. And how do you learn swimming? By doing it. And how do you develop your muscles? Any of you exercise here? I think all of you look nice and fit. All of you look. So you exercise by lifting weights or doing push-ups or doing it. Similarly, it's the case with sales. So if you want to start a business, or I think you can start any time, the first thing you need to do is focus on your sales skills. Sales is all about influence. Sales is all about persistence, which a lot of people spoke about. It's also about having fun. Business is also about having fun. I believe if you're having fun, if you're enjoying what you're doing, you'll do it well. I keep hearing people say, business is so tough, it's terrible. If you think that way, it's going to be tough. But if you think it's fun, it's a game, you'll enjoy it. I grew up in Iran, in Tehran. I came back at the age of 16. And again, I started selling. I was in college. I would sell all sorts of products. And I would take these products door to door to people. And you know what most people would do to me? When I would ring their bells with a product, you know what they would do? They would bang the door on my face. One person even left dogs behind me. But now I could either get sad and depressed, or I could say this is like a game, it's fun. Because the more I tried, the smarter I became. So later on I started carrying cookies for the dogs. In case somebody leaves dogs, I have dog cookies. Though nobody did. And the more I tried, the more I was able to sell. So if I went to 100 houses and I was able to sell to 10 people, I figured out selling is all about persistence. Selling is all about trying. And sales is not only in business, it's in life. When I had to marry my girlfriend, what do you think her parents told me when I met them? Did they say, Yogesh, come over, marry my daughter? No, I had to sell myself to them. If I was not able to sell, they wouldn't have let their daughter marry me. So selling is every part of our life. When you were kids, your parents had to sell you certain ideas that you become engineers and not drug addicts. All of us are selling all the time. In fact, the most successful people, how many of you love Rocky Balboa? You love it? Okay. How many movies have you seen? How many movies have there been? 7, 8, 6? 6, okay. Now, Rocky Balboa, I love Rocky Balboa. I love Sylvester Stallone, not just for the movie, but for his story. Now, Sylvester Stallone, is he successful? He's successful. But Sylvester Stallone always wanted to be in the movies, all the time. That was his dream. He wanted to be in the movies. And when he was born, he had to be pulled out by forceps. So you see his face? Have you seen his face? And his speech? That's how he was born. But still he wanted to be in movies. So he would go to every movie agent when he was struggling, and he would tell them, I want to work in your movie. They would say, look at your face. Who's going to give you a role? Look at your ugly face. You don't even need to know how to speak. But he kept trying. He went to 1,500 agents. These are these celebrity movie agents. So he went to 1,500 of them. And did he give up? No, he didn't give up. He kept trying. One fine day, there was an agent. He had an appointment at 4 o'clock. The agent did not meet him. And Rocky Balboa or Sylvester Stallone waited for 24 hours. So he waited till the next day. So this agent walks in and he sees him still there. He says, why have you not left? He says, because I want to meet you. That was his hunger. And did he get a movie role? That agent finally saw his persistence and gave him a movie role. You know how long that movie role was? 20 seconds. Sylvester Stallone's first movie role was 20 seconds, and he was playing the bad guy where he gets punched in the face, because he has that sort of face. Now he kept trying. Things got so difficult that one fine day, he doesn't have money for heat in his house. It's cold in America. His wife is fighting with him. His wife is telling him, Sylvester, go get a regular job. He says, no, if I get a regular job, I will lose my dream, my passion, my vision. He keeps trying. Things are so tough, they don't have money for heating in their house. So he goes to the library because he thinks it's going to be hot. The only reason he goes to the library is because he thinks things are going to be hot. And he goes, he sits there, he's sad, he's depressed, and he sees a book. And somebody else, it's a book by Edgar Allan Poe. He starts reading. He gets some inspirations. He goes back, he writes a story. He writes a movie story, and he finally sells this. Again, he contacts hundreds of agents. He sells this story, and he gets $200. And he is delighted. He says, this is the happiest day in my life. I've got $200. Sylvester Stallone getting $200. He keeps trying writing stories. Again, no success. Things get so bad, his wife tells him, get a job or I'll leave you. He doesn't get a job. So she sticks around. He sells his wife's jewelry. The worst thing that can happen. He sells his wife's jewelry. She gets frustrated. She leaves him. He's all alone. Sylvester Stallone is all alone. And one fine day, he has no money to buy food. No money to buy food, no heating, nothing. He has only one friend. That's his dog. His one friend is his dog. And you know what he does with his dog? He takes his dog to the nearest liquor store. He stands outside. He wants to sell his best friend. He wants to sell his dog. He asks for $50. Nobody's giving him $50. Somebody offers him $25. He sells his best friend. He sells his dog. He's broken. He's crying. His heart is hurting. He's devastated. He sold his best friend for $25. He cannot stop crying. He goes home. He turns on the TV. And, in a state, his mental state is completely of a loser. He watches TV and he sees a fight on TV. It's a boxing match of Muhammad Ali beating this other guy, but that other guy is not falling. Punches after punches on the face of this other guy, he's not falling. That's when a spark lights in the heart and mind of Sylvester Stallone. He, for 20 continuous hours, writes a story. He doesn't sleep, he doesn't do anything, he doesn't eat. For 20 hours, he goes insane and writes this story. You know what that story is? Rocky Balboa, that's the story. He writes Rocky Balboa. He's written this story, and He now again has to sell this story. So he goes to agent after agent. People say, this is a stupid story. This is too sappy. Nobody is going to watch this story of this boxer. It's too predictable. He keeps going agent after agent after agent, till finally one group of people believe the story and they tell him, we love the story. We love the story of this man. We want to make a movie. He says, great. They tell him, we are going to give you $120,000. He says, great. But he says, I have one condition. I have to star in this movie. They said, no way, you are not going to star in this movie. He says, no, I have to star in this movie. I am Rocky Balboa. They said, no, with your face, with your acting, no way. They said, we'll give you $200,000 to not act in this movie. This guy just sold his dog for $25. He has $200,000 right here in his hand. Just here, he has to just take it. What does he do? Does he take that $200,000? No, he doesn't take it. He says, no way. That is conviction, that is persistence, that is belief, that is faith, that is determination. They offer him $250,000. He says, no way. They tell him, Sylvester Stallone, take $300,000 not to star in this movie. They keep giving him more money. He says, no way. They finally give in. If you're persistent, people give in. They say, okay, you star in this movie, but on one condition. We will not pay you $300,000. We will pay you only $30,000. They want Sylvester Stallone in the movie and they want to pay him less. What does he say? He says, yes, of course. He takes $30,000. He's starring in this movie. And what does he do with that money? He goes to find his best friend. He goes to the same liquor shop where he had sold his dog around 2 months ago. He's looking for this guy. He's hunting for this guy. And this guy comes after 3 days. When you're hungry, when you're persistent, you'll get things done. He finds this guy, and his dog is with him. He says, oh, I'm so happy to see you. I want to buy back my best friend. He says, he's my best friend too. How can I sell my best friend? So he says, Sylvester Stallone says, no, you paid me $25. I'll pay you $100. He said, no, he's my best friend. I can't sell the dog. I have an emotional connect with him now. So he keeps trying, he keeps trying, he keeps trying. He goes up to $1,000. You know what that guy says? No, he says, no, he's my best friend. But Sylvester Stallone is a persistent guy. He says, in the end, he cracks a deal. You know what's the deal? $15,000. This guy has $30,000. He gives away 50% for his dog, which he had sold at $25. $15,000 and a role for that guy in Rocky Balboa. So that guy stars in Rocky Balboa along with the dog. So when you see the movie next, you'll see that guy and you'll see the dog too, Brutus. Now that is the power of persistence. They made that movie for around $1 million and that movie made $200 million. Part 1. And they made 8 of these movies. Is that wonderful? Is that incredible? It is. It's the power of passion. It's the power of belief. If you believe and if you are going to take action like crazy, plans, all of that, you have to do it. But the most important thing is take action. And if you take action, is anything impossible? Nothing is impossible according to me. Whatever your mind thinks, you can do it. 100 years ago, if you had asked Sir or anybody from Sir's field, can India go to Mars or can India go to Moon, what would have the answer been? No. But today, we can. So whatever the human mind thinks is possible. That's why I say the human mind has infinite potential, unlimited potential. Your background, your parents, nothing matters. If you believe you want to do something, you will achieve it, you will do it. I think my time is up. I'll respect time because we have a lot of friends. Any questions before I go? Anything you want to ask? Did you wave at me, Sheetal? Because you told me you'll wave at 18 minutes. Did you wave? It's 18 minutes, exactly. What are your questions? No questions, okay. Best of luck on this journey. I'm sure it's going to be beautiful. And take action. How many of you here are on Facebook? How many of you have access to Facebook right now? Right now. Okay. Visit Happionaire, the Happionaire page, and like it if you enjoyed this seminar. It's Facebook/Happionaire.